Halloween night marks the beginning of the movie. We meet Corey, a young man who was assigned to look after a child. The toddler's mother and father depart for the birthday celebration after explaining the entirety to him. Corey begins watching a horror movie while seated with the child, and communicates well with him. However, he was a naughty and rude child. Because of this, his communication with him is extremely odd. Additionally, he informs him that Michael, the murderer, will arrive here and kill him. When Corey returned from the kitchen after some time, the child had gone somewhere. He finally ascends the stairs after spending some time looking for the child, where the door to the stairs is abruptly shut by someone. In fact, the only other person who was making fun of Corey was the child. He instructs the child to unlock the door, but he does not do so. Corey kicked and shattered the door as a result of his rage at the moment. The kid was now directly behind the door. He slips and falls from the stairs after the door hits him. Simultaneously, the kid's folks likewise returned. They are the first to see everything. The child dies instantly due to excessive bleeding. Here, the child's parents believe that Corey pushed and killed their son on purpose. They therefore immediately contact the police. He is then detained and taken away by the police on murder charges. Despite the fact that he tells everyone he did not kill the child, he is ignored despite the fact that it was just an accident. After that, the story from 3 years ago is shown to us. Whereas at this point, we are informed that Michael was a crazed killer. 4 years earlier, he had gotten away from jail. He had wrecked a city and killed a lot of people. Michael used to kill individuals hence, because his mental equilibrium was completely off. Additionally, he did not appear to be attractive. That is the reason he generally used to wear a cover. He used to kill everyone because he was fed up with everything. Furthermore, this is the same perpetrator about whom the child had previously informed Corey. The daughter of a woman named Lori was among those killed by Michael. Michael has not been seen since that day. However, Michael's terror in this city has continued to grow even after 4 years. We now see Lori, the same woman, who has started a new life after forgetting everything. She has purchased a residence in this city, where she and her granddaughter reside. She frequently meets an officer, because they enjoy each other. People don't like Lori in the town where she lives. They make fun of her a lot because they think Lori is to blame for all the people Michael kills. We also see a terrified woman here, since she had in fact been Michael's victim 4 years earlier. Additionally, he had inserted a tube light into her throat. She did, however, survive. A significant pipe can be seen here passing through the primary gutter. Additionally, Michael had resided there for the previous 4 years. From here, Corey was going to ride his bicycle, because he was released by the police. The child's death was just an accident, according to the police. As a present, Corey's father gives him an old bicycle, because he continued to ride a bicycle. Later, when he was on his way home and near a store, he begins to be bothered by a boy and his friends. They ask him to go to the store and get them some alcohol. However, as soon as Corey refused, they began treating him badly. They even beat and pushed him. After falling to the ground, his hand was cut by the glass. In the interim, Lori also visits. She instructs them all to depart from Corey. However, they also behave badly around Lori here. Following that, they enter the store. This time, Lori explodes. She gets her knife out and gives it to Corey. Consequently, he punctures people's automobile tires. After that, she transports him to the hospital where her granddaughter worked as a nurse. At first glance, her granddaughter started to like Corey. They often talk. They then attend that dress party in the evening. Corey was also hiding behind a mask there, and he was thoroughly enjoying it. Keeping the issues of his life to the side, he was extremely content with Lori's granddaughter. However, he meets the deceased child's mother at this party. In front of everyone, she begins to insult Corey. She even screams at him. Additionally, that you are dancing after killing my son demonstrates how bad you are. You're having a blast. Corey feels extremely awful seeing him embarrassed. He starts to leave the party for this reason, despite the efforts of Lori's granddaughter to stop him. He additionally leaves subsequent to provoking her. Later, the 4 companions appear and stop close to him, and resume your bad behavior. However, this time Corey also expresses his rage. Your father hates you, he tells the rudest of them, right? As a result, you target weak people like me with your rage. He gets upset as a result. Additionally, he throws Corey off the bridge. They felt uneasy when they saw this. They flee from there, imagining that he might have perished. The injured Corey is then picked up by someone, and through the pipe, takes him to the main gutter. Michael's home was the only other location here. Later, when he regains his composure, he was figuring out how to leave there. But then a mask-wearing Michael shows up here, who is Corey's neck guard. In the interim, they gaze into one another's eyes. They seem to be able to see inside each other. Then, Michael left Corey alive for some reason, and sends him packing to go. He emerges from the gutter after he falls. Corey is held there by the elderly man, who had no one in this world. Says to him after being surprised, that none of the people Michael kept inside have ever left. So, how did he depart from you? However, after demonstrating a knife to him, he begins to send him back inside, and adds that if I acquire his mask, I will transform into Michael. However, Corey ignores him. He repeatedly attacks him with a knife and then leaves, resulting in the elderly man's death. He immediately goes to his house, and looks in the mirror at himself. He is no longer the previous Corey. His eyes of rage and resentment toward the residents of this town, after peering into Michael's eyes, has since awoken. When Lori looks out the window, she sees that Corey is present, who is standing in the same position that Michael used to stand. In the wake of seeing this, she gets terrified, whom he says not to worry about. I am only visiting to meet your granddaughter. After that, he meets her and offers an apology for the party. After he made fun of her and left, they went for a walk outside. Lori now recognized that Corey has experienced an incident. They check in at a hotel. The policeman then appears there and begins to irritate Lori's granddaughter. Corey begins to scream in rage after seeing this. He then leaves and remains silently seated in his spot. However, he was focused on Corey. Now, after leaving the granddaughter of Lori at home, he begins moving toward the large pipe. Additionally, he was aware that the officer was following him. He runs away to the area near the pipe. When the policeman arrives, then the elderly man's body is here, he discovers. Corey later attacks him and falls into the pipe. Additionally, the policeman had followed suit. Michael then catches him as soon as he enters. However, the officer hits him and throws him to the ground. Now, Corey hits the policeman before holding him and telling Michael to get up after attacking him. The query here now arises. How did Michael develop such weakness? He actually gained strength by killing people, but he has been in this pit for 4 years. He didn't kill anyone because of this. He's also so weak because of that. He was shivering so much while walking that he looked old. All things considered, presently Michael takes out his blade and attacks the policeman's chest repeatedly and executes him in his own fashion, which invigorates him a bit. Corey had also discovered how Michael kills people at this point. He then immediately approaches Lori's granddaughter and stays with her throughout the night. On the opposite side, we see that Michael has likewise emerged from that spot. I've noticed some changes in Corey, Lori tells her partner, who is in a bar. Similar to Michael's, his eyes appear devilish. The nurse's house is visited by the doctor because he planned to bring her along. However, whenever she goes to get a bath, the doctor's scream is heard by her. She sees Corey when she descends to check, whose face was concealed. Additionally, he nabbed the doctor and repeatedly knifed him. He was carrying out this in order to exact vengeance on Lori's granddaughter, because this nurse has been promoted over her by this doctor. He was getting ready to harm the nurse, but she locks the door and prevents him from entering. She contacts the police right away. In the meantime, Corey removed his mask and continues to examine her face. Michael then appears from behind, who grabs the nurse's neck. He acquires her and places her against the wall. After stabbing her chest with a knife, first, he pulls her up. She is then hung by him on the wall. Now, when Corey visits his residence, he is kicked out of the house and made to feel bad by his mother. Corey stays the night in that house after this, where the child passed away at the point when he gets up in the first part of the day. Lori is in front of him, he sees, who is telling her that it will be better for her to stay away from my granddaughter. I realize that you are no longer a good man, so it will be better for you. However, it is clear that he is threatening her that it will be terrible if she does not become mine. Lori becomes extremely irate after hearing this. She also departs here. Corey calls Lori's granddaughter following this. Furthermore, lies asserting that your grandmother has threatened to kill me. This is the reason we will leave town tonight. But before I leave, I want to pay off the people who have made my life miserable, who has wronged me. Additionally, because today was Halloween, he first visits Michael's house because of this. He fights with him there, and he emerges from there by stealing his mask. After that, Michael performs his own stand, which was unmistakably indicating that the savage within him was also awake. The granddaughter of Lori begins preparing her luggage for her trip with Corey, based on which Lori demonstrates to her that he is no longer a good person. Attempt to grasp this, his approach to strolling, sitting, strolling in each style has become like Michael. However, she ignores her. On the other hand, Corey seeks retribution by visiting the 4 friends, who used to make fun of him, and after putting a mask on their car, he continues. At the time, he was inside the truck. Then they all follow him until they reach his father's scrap yard. His father was also present, engaged in a game. Because of this, he had no idea what was going on outside. Outside, Corey attacks a boy's eyes, causing his blood to flow. He also passed away there and thereafter. In his truck, he crushes a girl and kills another with a powerful tool before killing the girl. The most belligerent boy later approaches Corey's father to request assistance. He gets a gun from his father, who leaves with the other gun. He is surprised to see his son Corey dressed in masks and wearing Michael's clothes. The final boy confronts Corey. His father rushes in front of him to save him, but he is shot and dies. Now that boy is caught by Corey, and he puts a welding machine in his mouth, turns it on, and then he leaves him alone. He died horribly. After that, Corey sits in the truck and goes to his home. He enters the kitchen and takes a knife from there. He attacks and kills his mother, who used to constantly tease him. He then goes to the impolite music player, where he kills his partner first. He then repeatedly beats him to vent his rage, then slashes his tongue, and knocks the music tape to the floor. Consequently, the songs are now playing with pauses, after instructing each of them. Eventually, Corey only needed to exact revenge on Lori. At Corey's house, Lori's granddaughter was waiting for him. But he doesn't show up on his own, and nobody knew anything about him. The fact that her granddaughter was separated from her made Lori very sad. She has an idea because she turns against her. She tells the police when she calls that someone killed her husband at my house. He also has a mask on. She then pulls out her gun and tries to kill herself by putting it on her head. We could only hear the sounds of bullets immediately after that. Corey was now close to the house. He quickly enters the house when he hears the sound of the bullet. Then we learn that Lori was just posing as if she were bringing him inside the house. She fires twice at him, so that he does not perish but instead falls. His granddaughter had also returned home in the interim. Furthermore, it was evident that Corey's secret was about to be exposed. But he had a lot of insight. He stabs himself with a knife. Moreover, when her granddaughter enters the room, she believes that Lori used a knife to kill Corey, because she also had the knife in her hand. When she sees this, she starts to cry a lot. She then departs. Lori was also sad at this point, and then she hears footsteps. It was no other person except for Michael, who came to retrieve his mask. He first dons his mask, then he kills Corey, who was still alive, because he engaged in combat with him and brought his mask. It was now Lori's turn. He immediately attacks her. She also attacks him in return. Additionally, their fight goes on for some time. However, Michael suddenly catches Lori, and all he wanted to do was kill her. However, she then removes his mask. Now, as Michael was putting his mask back together, this is taken advantage of by Lori, who holds a knife in his hand, as a result of which he stalls out on the table. She then acquires a second knife, and places it in the other hand of Michael. Additionally, she affixes it to the table. Furthermore, she tosses her cooler on him, because he was completely entangled in that spot. Lori removes his goggles, so that we can see his awful face. She tells Michael that she thought you were cute, but you're ugly, old, and irrational. She then cuts his throat after saying this. However, Michael frees his hand and holds Lori's hand in the interim. Consequently, she was also going to die. In the meantime, his granddaughter returns, and attacks Michael, causing him to lose a hand, which grants his grandmother freedom. After that, she uses a sharp knife to cut through all of his nerves. Despite the fact that he was the killer and powerful, he was, however, a human being. He passed away from excessive bleeding. The remaining officers and Lori's officer arrive next. Lori's granddaughter says that Michael kicked the bucket, however not totally. There is additional work to be done now. They then affix Michael's decomposing body to their vehicle. Additionally, they disrupt a gathering by removing Michael's body from the rally along with all of the police vehicles, so that he could forget about the residents' panic and fear. Now that you've done this, they drop him off at Corey's dad's scrapyard shop. He is being pursued by the town's entire population. Additionally, there was a large crowd present. The body of Michael is carried by everyone to the grinder machine, when the machine is started by her granddaughter. When he dies, Lori puts his body in the machine. His body breaks up into thousands of pieces as a result. Michael's game is now finally over. After this, everything was ordinary. The town's inhabitants have all stopped being afraid. The granddaughter of Lori also makes an apology to her, and they both begin their lives happily. Lori was conversing with her official. We are now shown. Lori's house still has Michael's mask. This is the end of the movie.